Boys and gals, you see the title, you know why we're here, and oh my god, a little bit of a spoiler, at least some based off of my feelings. There's one season, by the way, 8 episodes, pretty short. This might be my favorite MCU project in a very, very long while, and I do not say that lightly. Today, we're gonna take a look at Spider-Noir from Prime Video. Wow, okay. So, just to get some things out of the way. This isn't really that tied into Spider-Verse, so if you have any expectations, yeah. Also, I didn't say it, but I'll put it in the description and the title and everything. There will be spoilers. I won't be going too in depth because I really, really, really advise you guys to watch this for yourselves. Like, I don't want to spoil too many things. All the things I'm going to talk about is whatever comes to mind, and if I do, it's going to be very superficial stuff. So, I just want to say that right now. But if you're going into this expecting any tie-ins or connections to anything like specifically Spider-Verse or anything like that, you're not going to find that here. Okay? Maybe kinda, but not really. At the start, there's like a little speech, but not really. This is just its own standalone Spider-Man noir thing. So, just want to make that clear. Now, Nicolas Cage's Spider-Noir. Okay, just to go back to the start. When I found out about Spider-Noir was when the first trailer dropped. Before that, I didn't know, pardon my French, dick about this. I didn't know it was coming out. I didn't know jack shit. So when I saw the trailer, the first trailer, I was a little bit skeptical. I honestly was. Okay, like what? Like, the only, like, main adaptation we've gotten, at least in cinema-wise, of Spider-Noir is in the Spider-Verse movies. Other than, like, games and stuff like Shattered Dimensions, stuff like that. And I think he was in the Ultimate Spider-Man animated show, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. But, bringing him like this into live action TV, I've always been in to believe that Spider-Man is way better as a TV show than a movie. But Spider-Noir? Really? So I was a bit skeptical. I'm not gonna lie to you. But, when I saw the trailer, yes, I was skeptical, but I was willing to be more open-minded. And then, more teasers came out, more trailers, and I was like, okay, I'm willing to give this a shot because other than Spider-Verse, we haven't been getting a lot of Spider-Man stuff lately. There was Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man in Disney Plus, which was okay. It wasn't nothing too crazy. But Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to release on July. And until then, Spider-Noir is the most recent Spider-Man thing we're going to have. So, despite my skepticism, I was still kind of excited. Not only because I enjoyed Nicolas Cage in the Spider-Verse movies. Well, in the first one, he wasn't really at all in the second one until the very end. But I love Nicolas Cage just in general. So seeing him as Spider-Noir in live action, doing his thing, comedy and everything, I wanted to give it a try. And, not gonna lie, I really, really wanted this to work and to actually land. Because there were 3 major comic book, stuff like projects coming out, which was Invincible, Daredevil Born Again, and The Boys. The Boys was, for the most part, very disappointing, unfortunately. So there was that. Bit of a fail. Daredevil Born Again was, it was fine. It was fine. It had a couple good episodes there. Bullseye was the highlight. I think I've said this before in another video, but no clue. And Invincible fucking slapped. It slapped. But Daredevil Born Again, and especially The Boys, left a lot to be desired. So I was like, I thought that 2026 was gonna slap in terms of like comic book stuff, and it didn't quite fully deliver. And I wanted Spider-Noir to be, be that extra kick that we need. I watched it, all 8 episodes, and I've got to say, before I actually say my review and all that, like how much I liked it and all of that, I watched it in black and white. Because if you didn't know, there is a black and white version and there is a true hue version, which is, fully colored. Which I haven't seen yet. I've seen like some clips of like the fully hue version, or true hue, whatever. It looks good. But come on, black and white, noir, Spider-Noir. I simply had to do it. I simply had to. So, this is based off of the Spider-Man Noir comics, of course. I'm not too much of an expert in the comics, so I don't know how accurate it is. But, there is one big thing, which I definitely do know, that it's not the same in the comics. The fact the Spider-Noir we have here is called Ben Reilly. So, sorry that I'm, kind of stalling a bit. I just want to get this out of the way. For those who actually do know the character, then you know what I'm going to talk about. And if you don't know who Ben Reilly Spider-Man is, he's basically, this clone of Peter Parker that was born in the Clone Saga, one of the most controversial, time periods for Spider-Man lore. And Ben Reilly was practically like, I think I'd say like the most popular character to come off of it. That and Kane Parker, but I do not have him in the slideshow. Now, this might piss some people off, or you might not care. But there's not a lot of like Ben Reilly things in Spider-Noir in the TV show. It's just he's only Ben Reilly in name only, which I don't have a problem with. And if you know the shit with the rights and all that, why legally, they can't be doing, Spider-Man related projects and have Peter Parker be the character, then, well, you know that whole scandal, that whole mess, which is, I'm not going to get into that in this video, because it's not, it's a very lengthy thing, and we're not going to get into it. But, for the people who are wondering, is there an explanation? Is a Parker in here at all? Is he actually Peter Parker? Maybe he changed his name to Ben Reilly? No. At least it hasn't been spoken about. I'm pretty sure there was like one throwaway line where he changed his name, I think. But not too sure. But so far, he really is just called Ben Reilly. And he doesn't have any tie-ins or anything. He's just, legally he can't be, Peter Parker. So, the noir aspects of it are some of my favorites. So, what the fuck am I talking about? What in the... So sorry for, who the fuck put these in the slide? What the fuck? Okay, my apologies. I did have a friend look over the slides, and I'm pretty sure he added some things. So, my bad. Also, for anyone new, I do these things without a script or anything, just straight off the dome. Straight off the dome. And I do act like a schizo because of it, but it's fine. So, what did I think of Spider-Noir? Honestly, very good. Very, very, very strong first season. Now, I'm a little bit biased. I love noir shit. I used to watch a lot of noir stuff, mainly because of my dad. And, like, my grandparents and stuff like that. They really showed me a lot of, like, detective stuff, movies, mainly in that era of noir. And, you know, I'm also I'm crazy for, like, the story of cinema. Right where it started. The black and white. My bad. I like Hollywood shit. So, I am very familiar with noir stuff. So, having two things. Spider-Man and noir mixed together. I was really excited. And I wanted it to deliver, and it so fucking did with the noir aesthetic, the mystery, the detective shit. Awesome. Even like the way they speak, everything is so authentic to, you know, the era that it takes place in, which is in the Great Depression era, time period, kind of, sort of. So, awesome. But it wouldn't be a Spider-Noir show if there's no Spider-Man. So what did I think of Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man? First, I wanted to highlight some very key moments and like scenes that really stood out to me, that I really loved. So we're gonna do this rapid fire. The little chase scene here, like him going after Silvermane. And they fucked up his lights. One sec, guys. Let me just check something real quick. Yeah, okay, we'll get into that. Okay, fuck the scenes. Those are not gonna be mentioned anymore. But you know, I don't know who did this, but yep, the show must go on. What did I think of Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man? Honestly, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but my favorite portrayal of, like, specifically Peter Parker is Andrew Garfield. And my favorite Spider-Man is Toby. And, like, I think Toby's, like, one of the best, at least, portrayals of, like, I don't know, actually mix it. Nope. Favorite Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield. Favorite, Peter, Toby. My bad. I messed that up. So, having a new live-action, portrayal of a Spider-Man was gonna be very interesting to see how Nicolas Cage could, square up to titans like Toby and Andrew and Tom Holland too. And he honestly does a very, very good job at just being like a kind of retired, broken down, like, Spider-Man. I love it. He does a really good job. He's very charismatic. He is a little bit of a hardened version of Spider-Man. You know, he doesn't pull his punches when the moment calls for it, which I actually do really, really love. This isn't your typical Spider-Man that, like, holds back, you know, like, you know, he beats some guys up and he does some pretty messed up things in the TV show, so I won't spoil it, but love Ben Reilly. Love Ben Reilly, and I love Nicolas Cage as this role. I wouldn't... This is difficult. Because I feel like there's I want to say that this is some of his strongest acting in like a while, but it's also Nicolas Cage. Like he's always awesome. So you know, we'll move past that. We'll move past that. You know, I didn't say anything, but there's like a lot of characters in this, which I was very surprised about. So I'm just gonna go through each of them, kinda. At least the ones that really stood out to me, like characters from the comics, stuff like that, notable characters, stuff like that. So Molten Man is actually in this, which you know, he's not in it a lot. He's in it for like the first episode, and he dies in the first episode, which is crazy. I should have put a spoiler warning specifically for this. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's a review, and I have no script. You can't blame me. Can you blame me? Actually, you can. But Molten Man is in this. He does have a very limited, amount of screen time. But it's very cool to have him here and not as a hologram thing. And Far From Home, don't even get me started with that. But it was very nice seeing him, and he is kind of the catalyst that brings us into the main mystery in Spider-Noir, which, if you want to know, go watch it. So, we also have Sandman, Flint Marko himself. And I will say, Flint Marko is probably one of my favorite, characters in the whole show. He's really good. It's a very Flint Marko-esque portrayal, which is no duh. But also, it's a very different type of Flint Marko to what very hardcore Spider-Man fans are used to, I would say. And to the general audience and all that doesn't know too much about Sandman himself. And you only have, I don't know, the No Way Home and the Raimi version to go off of. This is a very different Flint Marko to what you're used to. But also, he's way, way better written and very complex. I wasn't expecting him to be as big of a character as he was. But he was. And it was very... I'll say one thing. For a lot of these characters, you never lose that entertainment value. You're never bored, at least for me, when any of these characters are on the screen. Except Ultimate, because shit, he barely has any screen time. But Sandman is one of those highlights that every time he's on screen, I don't know. I love him. I love him. It's not like he's the biggest deal in the world, but, as a Spider-Man fan, the only live-action portrayal we have of the Sandman is the Raimi one, and the Raimi one was fine. He was okay. So having him actually be a way bigger character in this show, in this TV show, I speak weird. Okay, I'm a very interesting individual. Pardon me. But having him in a whole TV show, actual good writing, and a lot of screen time over 8 episodes, it's very interesting. And his relationship with nothing disappointing saying spoilers, with Cat Hardy, Black Cat, which is a very interesting character too. Probably top 3 favorite ones. I think she's the next one in the slides. But it was very, very fun, and very emotional seeing that dynamic. So, just wanted to make a mention of that. Flint Marko crushed it. Also, the actor for Flint Marko, no clue what his name is, but he did phenomenal. Just wanted to highlight that. Black Cat is in this, which is actually very fitting, Loki. But, like I said, she is probably a top 3 character in this whole season. She's very interesting. She is working for Silvermane, and like I said earlier, she does have a relationship, kind of, with Flint Marco, Sandman, and just I don't know. I feel like in terms of like the emotional aspect of Spider-Noir, I feel like she is the main one that brings it all home. She's really where you're gonna be the most emotionally invested, I would say, other than like Ben Riley. I would also say like Robbie Robertson, people like that, and of course like some of the villains too. And Black Cat, especially the actress, I'm going to have to control myself when it comes to like sucking the titties out of each actor because of how good of a job they do. But you know, I'll try to contain myself. But especially Black Cat's actress does a like just the way she really bounces off of each like every other character, and like when you see her dynamics and everything, she's really calmed and like controlled, at least for the most part. Mostly everyone. So it really seems like I'm just losing my mind here over not a lot, over nothing, but you know, it's I say it for a reason, you know. But yeah, very cool character, very nice. Yeah, Megawatt, Megawatt is in this also, which was a very interesting decision because, and for everyone who doesn't know who Megawatt is, always confusing him with Electro. No, they are not the same character. Okay, they're not the same character. Megawatt is more of a eccentric version of Electro, and having Megawatt here rather than Electro, for the most part, doesn't have that much of a difference because their powers are basically the same, but well, similar. I will say as a character, Megawatt at the start was very entertaining, and he is entertaining for the majority of his appearances. But I can't quite shake off how annoying he was, especially in the I want to say I mean in the last episode he was really getting on my nerves with his whole I want to say aura, but I already said it, so there it is. But yeah, Megawatt was a really nice inclusion, honestly. He does have like this Broadway-esque psychopath feel to him, which is very interesting. But yeah, Megawatt is a very interesting character because he's kind of like the comic relief, almost like out of all of the villains. But he's also like very threatening. Like out of all of the characters like in this TV show, especially the villains, he's way more of like the sadistic psychopath type, and it's a very interesting thing. Which for a noir TV show, of course, I expect. But for a Spider-Man villain, very interesting. But just wanted to make a mention of it. I am yapping. My apologies. Now, my apologies again. Silvermane. Silvermane's first live action, I guess, debut. And, of course, like Megawatt 2. Technically, Multiman 2. Silvermane, for those who don't know, is usually like a very big, like, mob boss in like the comics, especially in the noir comics, which I do know. And Silvermane is, I guess the easiest way to put it, he's essentially just the kingpin but a little less influential than the Kingpin. So, if you know the Kingpin from like Spider-Verse or the Daredevil TV show, Silvermane is basically a carbon copy, just old and not strong or bold. Yeah, but Silvermane is a really, really, really good villain here. No, he's not really a villain that you're gonna put him with your top 10 of all time. Anything, but I can see there being a very, very good argument for him being one of the. Hmm. Mm, I'll go simple because I this might be a hot take. He might be one of the best live action Spidey villains, honestly. He is like really, really good. He has this very commanding, but also like kind of whimsical feel to him. It's very, very interesting. Like he's not afraid to crack a couple jokes here and there, but he never loses that sense of like danger, like having people respect him. And I really love how he's very different to like other like mobsters, like for example Kingpin, who like at least at the start hides in the shadows. He doesn't show who he truly is, at least to the public. But the thing with Silvermane is he basically rules the entirety of New York. He's got control of the mayor. He's got control of, at least from like what I got from like some of his comments and all that, like basically every criminal that you know in New York and all that, like his influence knows no bounds. And it was very interesting how he was in this TV show because he could do something like clearly illegal, like in broad daylight, and he could get away with that. He could hire like a PI or go to like a random bar or hell, the police station, just a public place, and everyone immediately knows who he is, and no one can do a damn thing about it. No cops, no one. And it's very interesting seeing such a that level of influence and like a mobster that doesn't need to hide or anything to like you know cops, like normal people or just other criminals, like. And that was a very interesting I'd say like breath of like fresh air, especially when you have villains, especially like Kingpin, that they always have to like hide who they are and all that, but they do like like public shit that should get them incarcerated but doesn't. But yeah, Silvermane was a really threatening villain. I will say spoilers again, which is all. The entirety of this video is basically just spoilers, but especially here, he does die in the finale, which took caught me off guard. But I do think it was a nice send off to a really nice villain. And yeah, I think he's really cool. So, alright, who do we got next? Robbie Robertson. Ah, yes. This is technically Robbie's second adaptation because he was in the Raimi movies. I grew up with a version of Robbie. It was like a very he was kind of just like the right hand man of J. Jonah Jameson. I grew up with a Robbie that he was I don't know how to put this. You know, I'll just say, when I learned that Robbie was in this, I didn't really know how to feel, because I never really thought that he was that big of a character. So, finding out that he was in this, it was like, oh, okay, he's gonna be a reporter, I imagine. Interesting. But at the same time, I did think, you know what? I'll oh wait, I'm gonna see what he does because I did grow up with the '90s cartoon, and in the '90s cartoon, Robbie does have a semi-important role in what was it? I think it was season 3, the one with the Tombstone. Season 3, season 2, one of the two. And just to get it off my chest here, Robbie is such a sweetheart in the show. When I said like, my top characters and all that, Robbie has probably gotta be like in number 2. Robbie was really endearing. He's just a reporter that is struggling to get by, trying to find out and crack the case of what's going on with Silvermane, all these super powered individuals just turning up in all of this, and also at the same time trying to help Ben in it's a little depression, how do I say this time of his life where he's just kinda at his lowest, kinda like trying to get him to be the Spider again, because in the show it's not Spider-Man, it's a Spider. It's very interesting already having someone that knows that he's Spider-Man, because usually it takes a while for someone to find out that he's, Spider-Man. So already having someone that knows who he is very interesting. And I don't think I put her in the slides, so I'm just gonna mention her now. There's also I think is a new character. I don't think she's even in the comic. Janet, which is Ben Reilly's, because he's a PI. Basically like secretary, I think. Yeah, I think secretary is the right word. She was also extremely, welcoming. She was awesome. I loved her, so I wanted to make that mention. But this is Robbie's part. Robbie, really cool, very nice, and it's the show as a whole covers a whole lot of things as a whole, depression, stuff like that. It's also very obviously like a period piece of the times. And there was one thing that I kept noticing a lot with Robbie specifically, which they leaned quite a bit into the racism of the time, because it is the 1920s, 30s ish. And I wanted to make a mention of that because I didn't really think they were gonna go that way, since Sony, they're really protective of Spider-Man and everything. I didn't think they were gonna go that route, but they did, and it was very interesting. So I just wanted to make a mention of that. All right, who's next? Tombstone. All right, I'm pretty sure he's the last one, and then we're done. So, Tombstone is apparently gonna be in Brand New Day. So I'll probably save my comments and opinions about Tombstone for Brand New Day. But in short, as a summary, I really like Tombstone as a Spider-Man villain. I think he's pretty simple. I do like how he can grow to the size of like Kingpin or even Silvermane. like mainly like comics and all that, like being a mob boss and all that. And seeing him here really reminded me more of the Lonnie Lincoln in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because Lonnie Lincoln in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is very nice and very entertaining and everything. But if you've seen the show, you do know what happens. No, I mean there's no need for being discreet. Whatever. Spoilers. He does lose his powers, which is interesting. I really hope he does come back because I thought he was really interesting and very nice. But yeah, I was talking about Tombstone. Tombstone. Well, in general, is one of my favorite Spidey villains. He's just simple powers, strong, strong like a fucking tombstone. I don't know what those are made of. I'm stupid. I'm 17. I should know this. But you know, yeah. Honestly, my brain is fried. I'll let you in on a little secret. After I finished Spider-Noir, I was gushing grannies. Like, I was so happy. I loved it. And I immediately wanted to do, like, a million fucking things that had to do with Spider-Noir. So I wanted to make some art, because they do art and all that, like, sketches, drawings, stuff like that. I'm trying to get into digital art, but it's not working out for me too well. And I wanted to make a video too. Like, I changed my fucking profile pictures in a lot of platforms to Spider-Noir. Like, I was going crazy. And I was wanting to make a video. And as I was talking, like, in this video right now, it just really clicked for me how bad I am at making these reviews. At least just like this, just having like images and all that, just saying whatever comes to my head. And I've been yapping for a while, so I just wanted to make a mention of that. Very impulsive comment there, but whatever. But yeah. In short, summary, whatever. Spider-Noir was a really, really good project. And, at first, like I said, I was pretty skeptical about this. But, honestly, it really surprised me. It was really good. The comedy was nice. The emotional beats, I will say, take a little bit to really buy you in the bayou. But the emotional beats do take a little bit to hit, but when they do, they really do. Nicolas Cage does a phenomenal job as a brand new Spider-Man, giving you a more like an older, of course, noir version of Spider-Man. And everyone around them is just awesome too. Black Cat, Robbie, Janet, Silvermane, everyone. And I really, despite sucking at talking and explaining things, I really, really encourage every single one of you, if you have Prime Video, go watch it. Alright? Because not even close, I am not doing it a lot of service. Like, I am not giving it enough flowers for how good it was, honestly. So, I think that's about it. Yeah. So, I hope you have a good day. I hope you survived through my nonsensical rambling. Not having a script and all that. Stupid idiot. But, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good day, night, or whatever the fuck. So yeah, peace. Whoa, Brodies. Okay, my bad. I did forget one more slide, so I'm sneaking this baby in there. I did want to say, I do feel like Nicolas Cage's portrayal as Spider-Man. Also, take a sip of like some Mountain Dew every time we say Nicolas Cage. I think it earns its place up there with like Andrew and Toby in terms of like an adaptation of like Spider-Man. I loved it. I loved it. Loved it. So just wanted to say that. Now we're actually leaving. Thank you for watching. And sorry that I didn't know what the fuck